Get ready to help the Mystery Gang catch some spooky villains. This is our review of Scooby-Doo, the board game.
Scooby-Doo the board game is a cooperative game inspired by the classic cartoon, and I could not get this theme song out of my head the entire time we were playing this.
This is another one of those games that's more fun because of the IP. We'll give you all of our thoughts after this quick how to play. All players work together to play the game, which lasts a series of rounds, with each player taking a turn each round.
At the start of each round, players draw 2 Scooby Gang cards and choose one to play and one to return to the save deck.
Players reveal their cards and a monster card and place them in ascending order.
Players take turns moving the allowed number of spaces on their card and then perform the actions on the space that they end on.
Players can recover Scooby Gang cards, restore visitor tokens, gather resources, or craft traps.
The goal of the game is to craft all the traps necessary to capture the Scooby-Doo villain that's being played that game.
If too many locations become haunted, there are no more monster tokens, or you run out of Scooby-Doo Gang cards, all players lose.
If players craft all the traps before any of the losing conditions happen, all players win.
Jinkies! Before you go off hunting monsters, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button.
All your likes and subscribes really help our channel grow, so thank you.
This was another Come On Kickstarter that I backed mainly because of the miniatures, kind of like Wacky Races and the Looney Tunes Kickstarter. I just backed them because of the miniatures. We're not usually big miniatures fans, but I do like the classic cartoons to Scooby-Doo, and I couldn't pass up on it. It's your standard pick up and deliver, grid movement, go around the board, collect resources, put the resources on the trap, and then defeat the monster. So there's not a lot to it. I get it. It's a classic kids cartoon, so the game is made probably for kids. However, I would think that with the nostalgia that most of the people who are going to be buying this are going to be Gen Xers, late millennials, like people like us. Why wouldn't they make it a little bit more complicated? I'd really like to play a game with like all that nostalgia of like a classic Scooby-Doo cartoon, but have it be a really hardcore, crunchy game that you're really doing a whole lot and you still have all the cool minis. I think that'd be a lot of fun. This isn't that game. Very simple, good for kids, but it's mainly just because of the toys that are included.
Growing up, I did watch and I did like Scooby-Doo. However, it wasn't like my favorite. But when I saw this was coming, it was that nostalgia factor again, right? Like, oh, okay, yeah, let's relive the past a little bit. It's fun for what it is, right? You're pick up moving, like Kenny said, and definitely the miniatures. I'm like, there they are. Really good quality there. I really like it. It's just one of those, once we're done, it's like, yeah, you have a couple of them on your shelf because you're like, oh yeah, I'm a Scooby-Doo. I like that.
The main mechanic of the game is you're going to draw 2 cards and you're going to choose one of the cards to play. And the cards will determine the order once everyone reveals their cards and you reveal a monster card. So if these were the cards, then the order would be this player, the monster, and then this player. So without telling the other players what your cards do, like I can't be like, oh, I can move 0 to 2 spaces and I can end up in that location and do that action. You can't say that when you're choosing your cards. You have to remain quiet. You don't know what the monster card is going to be. So even if you're planning in your head, okay, I'm going to have this and then I'm going to move there, and then you reveal the monster, like, oh, the monster is going to end up going through me because the monster is going to move 3 spaces along the green track. And that could destroy your plan. So you may have to pivot while you're playing after all the cards are revealed. So that's the main thing you have to think of. Yes, eventually you'll move your character and perform some actions, but the choosing of the cards, that's the main complication of the game. And that could be where some kids may be like, oh no, I messed up, or those kind of things. All the other decisions that happen, not super complicated, but the choosing of the cards, that's the main thing.
When you're playing and you pick your character, you do get your own character card with its own asymmetric ability, but kind of the one thing that gets me is like, one of these is the example of you have an asymmetric power, you can only use it one time. And me, I'm always like let's wait and see, like, oh, do I really need it right now or is it beneficial later on? But I always find myself like holding off until the very end and then just regret like, should have used my power when I could have.
But with a co-op game, the other players can be like, Lee, use your power now. Like they'll be telling you, like, not quarterbacking, but just everyone will agree, like, oh yeah, Lee, we need you to do this now.
Are you sure? Yeah, there'd be a lot of, are you sure?
The monsters all also come with their own special abilities too. And of course you have all the classic. You have the Black Knight, you have the Ghost Clown, you have the Zombie, you have the Ghost of Redbeard, you have all those famous classic cartoons. But basically the monsters are moving around the board to scare visitors away. When a monster gets to a location, it'll scare a visitor away. And if all the visitors leave that location becomes haunted. And then as the monsters are moving around, they'll use their monster tokens to be able to use their abilities. So that's the other mechanics of the game. After you choose your cards, it's gathering resources, but then following the monster around to repopulate the visitors in their locations.
So you got the characters, you got the villains, but you also have the mystery machine. And the mystery machine, I think, is just kind of fun because as you're going around the board, let's say you possibly get trapped somewhere, then you can just basically fast travel if you're in the same spot with it, but just fast travel across the board too. Hopefully it gets you away from the monster. There were times where I think I used it and then the monster ended up there anyways. And it's like, what was even the point?
That's another one of those things that you can only use 3 times though. So but not just the one time, you got 3 times.
But you can take the whole gang with you too.
The different monsters you'll be playing with, you can choose to make them as difficult as you want. The game has recommendations, but you can choose how you want. There's level 1 trap cards, level 2 trap cards, and level 3 trap cards. And the level 3 trap cards actually on the back are different from the level 1 and level 2. These are just completed. But the level 3, when you complete those are even more difficult because when you complete them, bad things happen. So yes, it's good. We completed that, but a bad thing happened. So it's kind of like, do we want to complete that right now or should we wait until something else happens? I like that there are different levels of the game. So even though it's not a super complicated game, you can make it more complicated as you're going. So kids can kind of learn as they're playing, like, oh, very easy game to play. Oh, let's add a little bit more difficulty and kind of show them how games can be ramped up in that way.
While it's a little frustrating, that like no talking aspect of playing the Scooby Gang cards, I like that because, you know, there really isn't a quarterbacking. There's just like, all right, 50-50.
I really like the minis. I know we're not usually big mini fans, but just the nostalgia of it. I do think that even though Command gets a lot of slack for their lack of gameplay in a lot of their games, I do feel like their minis are always really pretty well done. Really brings back that nostalgia as you're playing. I can see that if you're a kid playing this game, it would be a lot of fun. You'd really get into it. It doesn't need to be complicated for them. And what did you not like about that game?
So I kind of hinted at it. It's the asymmetric powers that each player gets, the only one-time use. I get they're probably weighted in a way where it could be really useful, so use it wisely. But maybe if there was just a spot on the board where you can kind of replenish it, right? Like, oh, stay here and it'll replenish your special ability, but you can only do that like one more time in the game or something.
The thing that I didn't like were the monster cards and just the randomness of it. And I get it, it's an easier game, so the luck of the draw is just there just to kind of, oh, just do this. But I do appreciate there are certain times when you can flip over a monster card and see what the next one is going to be. I like that mechanic a lot more. I wish that would have just been the basic mechanic of the game rather than sometimes it being random. You're like, oh, well, let's all put it in our order and the monster's gonna totally screw us over either way. So I wish that you could always see what it was, and that would make the decision making a little bit more interesting as far as what you're doing rather than, oh, I did all this planning while I was thinking I got a good card, I played it, and the monster card got an even better card, and it doesn't matter what I played anyways.
Overall, I think I'd say I'd get rid of the game. Yes, I had a lot of fun with the nostalgia, but it's there. I don't think I'll crack it back out. I like the artwork. I definitely like the miniatures and having them there. If I did keep them, I'd probably just keep the miniatures and be like, I don't know where they went. No, I wouldn't do that. Definitely let someone else have it and enjoy it and really just, you know, have fun with it too, especially if they have kids.
Overall, I would give it away, but I'm just going to give away everything except for the miniatures. Like Lee said, I don't care about letting someone else have fun with it. I wanted it because of the miniatures, so I'm going to keep those, find something to do with those, and then the rest of the game I'm just going to get rid of. And that was our review of Scooby-Doo, the board game.
What'd you think? Is this game going to make you shake and shiver? Let us know in the comments below.
And if you're enjoying our content, please like this video, subscribe to our channel.
Until next time, I'm Lee.
And I'm Kenny, and go party like a board gamer.